When was the last time you took a leap of faith, trusting that everything is going to work out? Do you crave growth, or are you merely content with the status quo? If you want more out of your life, out of your career, and out of your relationships, you are in the right place. Take the leap and discover how to create a life by design rather than living it by default. Real success starts with you. Now here's your host, Colleen Biggs.
Hello, listeners, and welcome back for another episode of Take the Leap. As always, I'm here, Colleen Biggs, have another guest with me. We are on episode 213. So excited because Mary Scott is here. She's been a guest several times, not only on our podcast, but also on our Member Monday Spotlights. She's taught some of our Thrive Thursday masterclasses. She's really been an integral part of some of our masterminds in the Leap community, Leap for Ladies. So we're so happy to have her back. And we are going to dive into everything startup success. There's so many things you need to know if you're starting up a business. So we're going to talk about a little bit of the differences in the businesses, the things that you might need as far as resources as a startup, how you find those resources. And Mary Scott can work remotely from anywhere. You know, she is in New Mexico right now, babysitting some of her grandchildren. I wouldn't say babysitting because they're like teenagers. I babysit, but she's got teenagers. And so she's house sitting with the children, I would call it, while her son is traveling overseas, which is really awesome at our age that we get to do that and we can still run a business. I've done this a lot for my children and I'm in business with my children and I'm able to do that. So that's part of startup success and we can talk about that today. But before we get to Mary, I want to thank today's sponsor of today's show, Beyond Basil Mobile Pizzeria. We're passionate about bringing the authentic flavors of Italy right to your event. Our mobile pizzeria is a culinary adventure on wheels where we craft artisanal pizzas using the finest ingredients in traditional Neapolitan techniques. So whether you're craving a classic margarita or looking to explore one of our unique flavor combinations, our skilled pizzaioli are here to create mouth-watering pizzas that will tantalize your taste buds. With our commitment to quality and exceptional service at your weddings and private events, we aim to provide an unforgettable dining experience for every one of your guests. So explore our menu and book us for your next event. Please follow us on Instagram at Beyond Basil Pizza and find us online at Beyond Basil Pizza, mobilepizzeria.com. Sorry about that. All right, Mary Scott, here we go. Mary wants startups to be wildly successful. She's a business consultant solving problems, connecting resources, and helping startups and solopreneurs succeed internationally. Coming from media in New York and now in St. Louis, she made 2 profitable documentary films and now uses that experience to help startups succeed faster. She also compiled the Startup Resource Guide for St. Louis businesses and is the founder and lead organizer for Pitch STL. She's been doing a Facebook Live series with expert interviews for startups for over 2 years, which is available on YouTube. We have that link available for you. I would say you're the startup launch pad for most businesses, Mary. So welcome to today's show. And she does it so eloquently in purple hair. I love you. Do your grandkids love your purple hair?
They do. I'm the cool grandma.
Yeah, of course.
I couldn't help but listening to you talking about your pizza. I'm hungry now.
Everyone says that. When we talk about pizza, which is one of the businesses we own, everyone says they're hungry. And we bought that business from an existing business owner. So we didn't have to go through the startup phase. We just kind of did like a relaunch phase, I guess you would call it. But my gosh, I will tell you, there was so much knowledge that we didn't have stepping into a catering business. None of us had ever owned one. We didn't know about cooking the pizzas the way they do it or the recipes. So we negotiated in our contract for like an onboarding period for them to teach us all of that. And I'm still learning with permits that we have to submit and all of the other things that we have to do. I'm still learning. So Mary, we're excited to have you here today because I believe that startups can be wildly successful. Most of the time, they're the ones holding themselves back. And so let's talk about a little bit about that. So you came from media in New York. What was that like? And what year was that?
Oh gosh, I was a video producer in New York throughout the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s. Um, Part of my philosophy as a video producer, mostly business to business stuff, was I didn't want my clients to pay for my services. I wanted their clients to pay for my services. So it wasn't just shooting videos, it was also helping business owners use the videos to get customers to pay for my services.
Mm-hmm.
So that was where I ended up giving an awful lot of business advice, not just marketing, but back office stuff as well. And as a startup, I remember having a hell of a time figuring out where I needed to go, what I needed to do, who I needed to meet, what licenses and stuff I needed. And I felt like I don't want anybody else to have to go through that.
Mm, that's
So if
tough.
I can put together a process for startups so that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks and that they can get to what they love to do faster without as much frustration, that's what I was going to do. And that's what I've been able to do since we moved to St. Louis.
Oh, that's great. And so I know you've worked with a lot of local businesses and have been very integrated in the community in St. Louis with some nonprofits. Now you're the founder and lead organizer for Pitch STL. You want to talk about that a little bit?
That is something that grew out of another organization called 1 Million Cups. And we were a local chapter of a national organization. The national organization decided to go a different route, and I didn't want to lose one of the very few remaining early stage startup resources we had here in St. Louis. So we created Pitch STL, which is it's a way for startups to practice their pitching before it really matters. So they get 6 minutes to present their company with a pitch deck, and then they get 20 minutes worth of feedback from the audience, which I call a warm, fuzzy Shark Tank.
Yeah, that's definitely what it
And
is.
whether you're going for investors or
Yeah.
whether you're going for customers, you still need to know how to pitch. And this is something that our organization has provided.
And how has that been going in St.
It's
Louis?
been going great. I've had 2 presenters every Wednesday morning since September. We did our first evening live fast pitch event in early October, and I had over 40 people show up, 13 companies pitched, and the winner got a $400 prize. So it was a real
Wow.
successful event. So
Yeah.
we're hoping to be able to do that again every couple of months.
Yeah.
If somebody wants to set up a pitch STL in their town, I can help them walk right through it. It's not hard.
Yeah, that's really great because that gives us an opportunity to practice, right? And like you said, you're either pitching to customers or you're pitching to a bank about loaning or a hard money lender, right? An investor. It could be pitching for
Exactly.
anything
Exactly.
that you're looking.
Everybody needs to answer the question, what do you do?
Mm,
With one sentence. And that is, I help these people solve this problem so they can.
mm-hmm.
Has nothing to do with your secret sauce.
Right.
It's be specific about who your customers are,
Mm-hmm.
what's their specific problem, and what benefit do they get after solving that problem.
Yeah, exactly. I love that. And that's a great way to teach people how to do that. So, what have you found with startups? What are the main resources that they need immediately that they don't have a clue where to find them or what to do or didn't even know they needed it in a startup situation?
Sure. Depending on where you are,
Mm-hmm.
the municipality or whatever your location has certain rules about starting a business. So you need to know what permits you need, what licenses you need, things like that, which
Mhm.
is why I highly recommend getting an attorney And sometimes there are attorneys who are specialists in startups to help walk you through and make sure that stuff doesn't fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
It can cost a couple $1,000s. And if you really don't have that, you still need to maybe get somebody else who's done this industry before, not necessarily your business, but your industry, and have them mentor you, have them give you the checklist of the things you need to do to actually become a legal business. Because there was a girl I knew who was a great esthetician. She started her own line of potions and cosmetics and things like that. And she was doing great in a brick and mortar salon for about 8 months. And the health department came in and shut her down because she didn't have the appropriate licenses. And it took her 18 months to get back up and running. And this could have been prevented had she known these were the kinds of things she needed before she even opened that business in the first place.
Yeah. Yeah. Especially if you're creating your own line of lotions or any type of cosmetics. Boy, there's a whole nother line of licensing and approvals that you need to do that.
There is. One of the easiest resources that's in almost every community is called the Small Business Development Center, or the SBDC. You can find these usually located at a university. They are completely funded by the SBA, the Small Business Administration. So their services are free, and they help you put together a business plan, find out what the local regulations are. It's their job to help you get going legally.
Yeah.
So that's the SBDC. You can find them. Like I said, they're free.
We'll add the link to make sure we've got it below. So they've got
Well,
it.
I mean, there's a national SBDC, but if you just do a Google search
for the Small
in your
Business
local
Development Center.
Local university or whatever, just look for Small Business Development Center near me.
That's great. And are you still able with traveling to be in a different state and still be able to assist? Are you working virtually with your clients? Are you working only in person? Explain that so that someone listening.
I work virtually. I'm real good at research, and I know where everything is in St. Louis and where its counterpart can be found. So it's not hard to get the research happening. It's not hard to know what keywords to put into a Google search at this point, from my perspective. So I can help anybody just about anywhere.
Just quickly. And I know you've created some guides and have some of those things. And what is the website that they would find those additional resources? Do you have a website where you're putting resources?
I have a website for the St. Louis Startup Resources Guide.
Okay.
And that's stlstartupecosystem.org.
Okay.
I tried to find a URL that tells you what it is.
Yeah. Okay. So the St. Louis Startup Guide.
There are about half of the resources there are actually local versions of national available things.
Okay.
So, there's always going to be some kind of entrepreneurial program at whatever local universities you have. There's always going to be a chapter of SCORE, which they just call themselves SCORE now. Highly recommend them for engineering, for mentoring, for basic business kinds of things. I have to, full disclosure, they're not the best in terms of marketing, particularly if it's online stuff, because these are usually retired people who have been very successful in business. But as you well know, marketing in the 21st century is very different from marketing used to be. But their services are free, and they can be really, really good mentors.
They are. I'm part of the SCORE here in Phoenix, Arizona. So there's chapters all over. I used to fly to Ontario chapter of SCORE and go to their women's breakfast every quarter that they would have. And I got to know the women there really, really well. And you could sponsor, and we always had a speaker and someone that was teaching you something new. And I really love SCORE because the other thing that they have, in addition to the SBDC, has some of these great things too, is they do a lot of virtual online workshops. So in addition to the mentoring, you get local and having access to all of their guides and their mentors. There's regular workshops you can go to online, and they might be teaching you how to market on social media, or how to use AI in your business, or how do you get local business funding. My gosh, there are so many opportunities that exist out there. So we've talked about the small business development centers. We've talked about your St. Louis startup guide, which we've got all of these links. And we've also talked about SCORE. So these are really good. And then you can find chapters in your area. So that these are really good for them to be able to use. Share with us getting people ready to pitch. What is that like? Helping them get ready to pitch. What is their main, you talked about, knowing who your demographic is, knowing the problem that you're solving, and then what does that individual's life look like? So they can, you said, so they can XYZ, right? What are you finding when
Well,
you get
the first thing is that most startups are so passionate about what they do and how they do it that they want to tell you all about that part.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the reality is that that's really only interesting to you and maybe some other people who are in your industry or who love you dearly. Customers always need to know what's in it for them.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do when we help people practice pitching is we back them up. Who is your customer? Who do you think is your customer? And what is the problem you're solving? Because that's what's in it for them, is being able to solve a particular problem. And the more you can define that problem, the more your customers are going to lean in and say, yeah, that's my problem. What are you going to do for me? Once you get them to lean in, they're actually paying attention. And then you can tell them the benefits of what it is that they'll get when you solve the problem. And then you go into why you are uniquely qualified to solve that problem.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. And then you get to go, I think you said the key right there. We get to go in to say how we specifically solve that unique problem and what we utilize.
And until your potential customer is asking you how you solve that problem, they're not going to care what you do to solve a problem.
Right. That's true. Yeah.
You have to wait for them to ask you what it is that you can do to really help them. Then they're paying attention, then you're more likely to actually make the sale.
Yeah. So if you are a startup and you are just getting started in a business or thinking about starting a business, this is kind of where I would say you start. We've given a lot of options here, but having a conversation with Mary in letting her know where you are, the type of business you are, just the beginning stages of what you're looking for. She's a business consultant. She solves problems. She connects you with the resources. This is where she's going to be able to help you get some guidance on what you need to do next and where you need to go and who you need to connect with and what the next steps are for you to be, again, doing things the right way. You don't ever want to get shut down in your business for not doing it the right way. I've met women, my gosh, Mary, they've been up and running their businesses and they've never even filed an LLC or, incorporated. They've never really done anything. They've not gotten an EIN number or opened up a business bank account. They're just kind of running it all from through their personal.
I actually do a workshop on how to set up a business legally, and it includes things like make sure that the bank that you have for your business is a whole different institution from the bank you have for your personal. Because that's a flag to the IRS. And when you get audited, it's going to get you into trouble.
Yeah.
So I always tell people you need 3 members on your team, whether they're paid or not paid or whatever, but you need 3 different skill sets. You need someone who knows marketing, you need a lawyer, and you need an accountant.
Yep.
Because the marketing person helps you make money, the accountant helps you keep most of it, and the lawyer helps you not lose it.
That's true. And I'm glad you said that. It's the truth. We all need an attorney on speed dial, and you will get to that point where you do need one. And I'm sure Mary can refer you to some really great business attorneys that she knows. I know some great business attorneys in Arizona. You get to know them because you need them. That's how we get to know them. So, Mary, it's been a joy having you on the show today. We have your LinkedIn link as well as your St. Louis guide link and the Facebook link. We've got the Small Business Development Center link, the SCORE link, your YouTube link for all of your shows. Is there anything we missed or anywhere you want the
one thing that I have for people that's a gift is the list of 10 mistakes startups make and how to avoid them. And I put the link in the chat so you can share it with people.
Okay. The 10 mistakes that startups make. That's awesome. So I'm going to say everyone download that. Let's start with that and then connect with Mary directly because we want you to be able to have success as a startup. That's the American dream is what they call it, right? So the American dream is owning your own business, producing your own income, having, setting your own hours. It really is a wonderful way to generate income. My husband and I have been able to do it with several businesses, and I will tell you that it is just fabulous for us to be able to have that freedom to be able to do that on a regular basis.
Yeah. I want startups to be wildly successful because they're going to change the world for the better.
Yeah, they continue to do it every day. I agree with you. I feel the same way. So thank you, Mary, for being on today's show. To all of our listeners out there, I just want to remind you, you're the only you that's ever been. You're the only you that's ever going to be. So how does that feel knowing that you're starting this business because of your passion and you can solve that problem for that specific person? Definitely download the guide. Definitely take us up on all of this. A lot of this is free advice that you're going to get today for your startup success. So, Mary, thank you for being integrated into our community and all the things that you do. And thank you, listeners, for being with us through episode 213 today. And until next time, never forget, be you and be strong. Bye-bye for now.
We hope you enjoyed our show today, as our guests shared their secrets on designing their life by taking the necessary leaps to expand their influence and attract the right people and clients into their lives. To start these easy steps for yourself, be sure to visit www.colleenbiggs.net/freebies to download the 7 ways to increase your exposure today.